Well, welcome everyone to today's episode of TMI Advice You Didn't Want. Today we're going to be continuing what we were talking about on our last podcast, which was basically the whole concept of there are certain people, quote unquote, that are special enough to have certain abilities like Reiki or psychic abilities or telekinesis. I don't know. Throw in whatever word that you want there that's supernatural. And the quote unquote only certain amount of people are allowed to experience that in their life. And we're going to kind of debunk that today because I think that's total bullshit. So I'm just going to call it what it is right now. So, but mine, in case we haven't met, my name is Karen.
And my name is Ashley. And yeah, I remember like as I was deconstructing as a Christian and moving more into like the Reiki, spiritual and all that kind of stuff. I had a friend, I had a mentor that be like, "Oh yeah, like you have this gift, like you'd be able to do it, and not everyone is capable." And so that was like my initial introduction into everything is that not everyone can like have the gift of Reiki. Not everyone can um have that like telepathy or whatever it is. And it was always kind of interesting then to be like, well, like I don't think I'm special. I don't think that makes sense. And so, but because I was coming from being a Christian to not, and these were the mentors and the people that were kind of guiding me, it was like, okay, I guess I'm lucky to have.
Mm.
So very interesting because it's if we understand who we are as creation, everyone can tap into it completely. And the only reason that you wouldn't be able to is if you're blocking yourself from that. And there's different reasons for that, or if you're not here as like a human creation. So,
Yeah. So to me, like we all can tap into that, like you said. Like it doesn't, it really rubs me the wrong way when people, I'll see it on Facebook or on social media all the time where people are like, I have this special gift and I'm able to do Reiki. And it's like, good for you, but other people can do that too. And what's beautiful about us as creators is that when we understand that we can tap into that energy for ourselves, I don't need to go to a Reiki healer to help me. I
yeah,
can do it on my own. That's fucking empowering. And
yeah,
that's one thing I think that happens whenever people say things like, oh, I have this special gift. I can do this special things. You may have a knack for it. Your brain might be wired to naturally go that direction, but that doesn't mean that someone else can't wire their brain to go that direction as well. And it
yeah,
might take them a little bit more work because of their upbringing or things that they believe about themselves, or really it comes about the belief about ourselves, right?
mhm,
It may take some rewiring, and sometimes that can take some time. Doesn't have to, but sometimes it can, just because that can be a process. But once you figure out how to rewire that part of your brain and get it to a place where it's like, oh, I actually can do this thing,
mhm.
there's the sky's the limit for you. You can do that, right? Like it makes me scratch my head so hard. I'm like, I don't understand what would make, probably because the whole I need somebody to come to me because I'm the special person and then you can pay me for my special service, right? That is so disempowering. I hate that so much. Like when people are like, no, like that's one thing that I loved. Like you recommended Bridget to me years ago. Bridget is one of our mentors that she has helped both of us in certain times. And she does things like personal clearing. She doesn't necessarily do quote unquote Reiki, but it's all the same. It's energy work. So, like, why do we need to call it something? It's energy work. But all like what I loved about her is she didn't want me to rely on her. She
Mhm.
said it to me multiple times when I would work with her. She would be like, you can do this for yourself. And when she said that, that was so empowering because it was like, you're right, I probably can figure this out. You're assisting me. What I love about people like Bridget, or I did craniosacral years ago, is that those particular things helped me to understand what it felt like to feel good, what it felt like to feel the balance. And then I could start to go, oh, that's what it feels like. And so I was able to maintain it. And then at a certain point, I was able to go above what they were able to do for me because they gave me this baseline. That's what a good mentor is going to do for you. They're going to give you a baseline of actually, if you do this, this can help you get to this point that you want in your life. And so you're in a sense modeling what they're doing, and you go, "Oh, I can do that for myself." Okay, and then you start to get better at it and better at it, so the point where you're able to perfect it for yourself. And then eventually the student becomes the master, and now the master can actually teach themselves how to do these things, right? Like that to me is the process. That's how come I'm like, whenever I say like mentors are great but don't rely on them, this is what I mean, right? Like the mentor is meant to help you see things about yourself that you might not be able to see right now. They can help shine the light back at you and say, okay, this is what you're not looking at. And when you do that, and you actually start to practice and do the things like, okay, I know that this is the thing that's keeping me stuck or keeping me wherever I am. I can start practicing it, doing it differently. Now I can actually become just as efficient, if not more efficient, as my mentor as well. And that's when we grow. That's when we level up. And sometimes we need new mentors. And sometimes we just need to go deeper within ourselves. That's one thing that my whole process within spiritual everything, anything has taught me is that a lot of times I just need to go deeper within myself. If I want to get to the next level, it's not about looking in my external environment. It's not about looking for somebody in my 3D world that can actually do it for me. It's about me going deeper with me and shining the light on my own deficiencies, right? My 3D reality is constantly giving me feedback. It's constantly telling me what's working and what's not working. I just need to be willing to pay attention to that. And when I sit with myself and I look at those things, that's when I can open up and go, oh, that's what I've been missing. And
Mhm.
it's so fucking empowering when you can do this for yourself. So that's a little bit of a tangent off of what we were talking about. But at the end of the day, this is how you become the master that can do things like Reiki, telepathy, telekinesis. I don't care. Put whatever you want in there that's a spiritual thing. Like
Hmm.
we can all do it. We're all capable.
Yeah. And a little side blip, it's not even so much spiritual anymore because science is
Mm-hmm.
now proving those things. There's actually documentation of telekinesis. There we go. And so it's really interesting. But for the purpose of this conversation, when it comes to finding mentors, it can be a really challenging thing and it's a lot safer and a lot more empowering, like you said, to do it yourself in a lot of ways because I've worked with a lot of people, and especially right now as like TikTok's kind of taking off in the spiritual community, you have a lot of people that are just really putting their own traumas and their
Yeah.
own issues onto other people.
Yeah.
And I've worked with those people before. I've had practitioners where I was like, ooh, this is like so theirs, and they're projecting and they're like um picking up on something that's like all way off in like left field, and they're just like honing in on it and blowing it up, and it can be a really dangerous situation to be in. Like yeah, it just there's things that people need to have a lot of awareness for who it is that they're treating and what they're saying, and making sure that it's actually that person. So I've had situations where it was like stuff that wasn't mine. They were coming up and addressing, and they were convinced, and they were arguing with me, and it was like, no, we're good. Or convincing me that stuff was happening that wasn't happening, like making it seem more positive than it really was. Or I've had situations where it wasn't me that was having the services done, but one of my friends, and they said something to that friend that really messed them up because it was too far into that spiritual journey, and they weren't there yet. And it's just like there's so many different factors that can really play a part to having a scary practitioner and going down that wormhole. Um, and it's interesting because, like, if we tap into it ourselves, like we have that infinite intelligence and all that kind of stuff. And I never really experienced it fully until I started doing Reiki and understanding it. And it's really, Reiki is not some magical thing that you need to learn or any of that kind of stuff. It is within us, and it's just learning how to channel it, right? And like there are certain things that help. Like obviously, like you do a lot more with Joe Dispenza, and there's certain ways he says things and certain like whether it's tonality or words specifically or music. And so it's the same idea with Reiki. There's a way to channel it more effectively. And they use symbols and words
Yeah.
to do that. And it's the same idea, right? It's the same thing. And so the first time I ever did like distance Reiki on someone, because you really channel into that energy, and it's a really high vibration, and you get so present. And all of the feedback that I was getting was insane. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm making all this shit up. And I felt crazy. I felt completely crazy. But then the person I was working with in the class with my mentor, I just was like, hey, this is coming up. What's this? Like, and started bouncing back all of it that was coming up to her, and was able to really test and understand like my how my intuition was being guided and how that energy was moving through me. And the biggest thing I right away learned was this has nothing to do with me.
Right.
Like this is not like I'm not tapping into some like weird psychic ability where I'm like, ooh, I'm like God, and like we are like God, but we're creators, but it's not like I'm like this special God that
Right.
can understand what's going on in your life in a special way that no one else can. It was just that I was quieting myself enough and raising my vibration enough and being present enough that I was getting information that I had no access to on a reasonable level because that's who we are designed to be. And so when I removed myself completely into that presence, so many things came to me. And the hardest thing is to not self-doubt,
Mm.
right? And so it was a lot easier for me to um, perform Reiki on someone else. And I don't know, I was, as you heard my pause, I don't know what the right word is, of perform or whatever, move the Reiki through me. But it was a hard thing to learn to trust myself, and then having that other person confirm what I was feeling was great. And so that was a big challenge. So then when we do Reiki on ourselves, or whenever we are working within ourselves, it's easy to be like, oh my gosh, like I have this coming up. And like you have things come up and you have them come up because you want them to come up. Like you're
Right.
kind of manipulating what's coming up, or things will come up that you don't really like and you're like, oh no, no, that's not this. Or you'll get confirmation and you're like, but am I just making that confirmation happen? And so it's a little bit more tricky to do it on yourself. Whereas if you are working with someone or you have a mentor, you have that like kind of confirmation, like there's two of you there, and so it builds that confidence. And so it can make having a mentor a really scary thing because you want that confidence builder, but at the end of the day, you can find all of that within yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it really is it the most important piece of it that you said too is getting really present to the moment and really focusing on the now. Like I
Mhm.
don't know how to say that any other way. I wish there was a easier explanation of it because at the same time like that sounds really easy, but then the action of doing it can sometimes be like, well, but am I doing that right? How do I get into the present moment? Like I thought I was already here. But really like the piece of it that a lot of us have been trained to do since we were children is we're trained to either think in the future or think in the past. We're never like we at least in my childhood, okay? Like I'm sure there are a lot of people that their parents are really into this and they know how to teach their children how to do this. But in my childhood, my parents did not teach me present moment awareness because they did not necessarily have it. And so like that's what makes this the most difficult in my opinion is that You're constantly trying to like look at what happened in the past in order to predict what's going to happen in the future, right? And so when we do that, we're actually instilling our own desire into the situation instead of getting into the right now in order to experience what's actually happening, right? This is what meditation taught me. I didn't get this. Nobody could have explained this to me and would have made any sense because I was literally like, but I'm here right now. What are you talking about? Right. But meditation is what made me realize, oh, I'm constantly focusing on the future or I'm constantly focusing on the past. Right. In
Mhm.
order to predict my next moment. Because if I can predict my next moment, then I don't have to worry about things that could get thrown at me that could be scary, quote unquote, that's going to set me into a state of fight or flight. And in a sense, that's putting me into a state of fight or flight because I'm constantly trying to predict what's going to happen next, right? And the secret, if you want to be good at anything when it comes to like telepathy, Reiki, telekinesis, I don't care what, like getting really present to the right now and feeling into your body. Like I had somebody ask me yesterday on TikTok, well, how do I level up with the Schumann resonance? How do I level up? And my answer is this, like, get really present with yourself. Get
Mhm.
really present into the moment. Stop fucking worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, the next day, what you have to do today. When we're focused on all of those things, we're not focused on what's happening right now. Right. And so if you want to level up with what's happening with the Schumann resonance, the Earth's energy, all the stuff that's happening right now, leveling up means getting really present, feeling into the moment, and then like really noticing like what are the feelings that I'm feeling right now, and are those feelings that are associated with the past or the future. Like that's really, this is how simple it can get but also really complicated at the same time. I hope this makes sense, right? Like it it's really about noticing what are the feelings that I'm feeling that aren't associated with right now. Because the feelings that are associated with right now are elevated emotions like joy, peace, happiness. I love what I'm doing right now. I get to experience this moment right now. Anything other than that is a feeling from the past or the future. Don't know how else to say that, right? Like, if we can get super present, then we can level up and we can get to this place where we're like, oh, I understand how Reiki works because I just need to get in the present. I just need to get right here, right now, and just be here. And
Yeah.
that is the challenge because that's not what we're taught. So,
Well, it's those simple things that are the hardest too,
yeah,
because we're so used to doing it completely differently. And we're used to getting in our own way and used to thinking that there's an instant gratification magic pill,
right.
whether it's weight loss, whether it's success in my business, no matter what it is,
Yeah.
everyone wants someone else to fix the problem or something else to fix the problem, and no one wants to do the work. And getting present fixes everything. Like
Mhm.
that's what needs to happen. And it's in this day and age probably one of the hardest things in the world to do because we're so busy, we're so pulled in every different direction, and we're taught by social media to have instant gratification dopamine hits. So to quiet, especially like our generation, I would say, was that overachiever generation, right? Like we were burned out before we even got through high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It was all about you have to get the good grades, you have to be working a good job while in high school, and you have to be getting into the great college. And it was all this like huge achieve pressure. Like I just remember being like, if I'm not working so many hours a week at a good job that's making more than minimum wage and getting straight A's, and taking all the hard IP classes, like there's what am I doing? Like I have to achieve all of it. I have to do all of it. And that led me to being burnt out in high school and then led me to having early adulthood where I'm like, what is this? Like, and I got out fairly quickly, but a lot of us don't. And like, I know for my partner, he's still in that, like, it really is hard for him to slow down and to stop because he used to be punished if he did. And we were so trained to constantly be going and constantly be achieving. Like even with like sports, like you had to be in all the sports and doing all the things. Like it was just like this huge pressure to achieve and to excel.
Yeah. I think there's another side of this too, because there's nothing wrong with excelling. There's nothing wrong with doing and being quote unquote busy. How are we perceiving that though? What are the thoughts that we're thinking when that's happening? Because I can tell you for myself personally, in the past, when I would be really busy and things would be completely bananas, I would be like, oh my God, when's it going to slow down? And that thought is going to perpetuate more speed. Okay. That thought, because I'm resisting what's happening. Right. So, whereas you could have a totally different thought that's going to cause you to have a totally different feeling about the situation of, oh my God, isn't this so fun what I can create in my life? That's a totally different thought that's going to cause you to have a different feeling. That's going to cause you to have even more new thoughts that are going to cause you to have even more new feelings. You could be the busiest person on the planet, right? Like I look at some really high achievers
Mhm.
in the world right now and in the world in the past. I think they already knew how to do this, right? Because there are some people that achieve some really big things that it's like they have the same 24 hours in a day that I do. What are they doing differently? It's how they're thinking about it. They're not sitting there going, oh, fuck, I'm exhausted. When's this going to slow down? Or am I ever going to get what I want? Blah, blah. All the limited emotions that are just going to keep perpetuating themselves. You keep
Yeah.
thinking that way, you keep creating the same reality. You can't change your
Mhm.
reality by thinking the same way. It's not going to happen. You have to change how you're thinking about it, how you're feeling about it in order to create something new. And I think really it's not always the busyness because yes, like it's a good idea to slow down and like take a look at what's going on around us for sure. But part of this slowing down and looking at what's going on around us is really like look what's going on within me even in this situation because I have to be able to change my energy in the exact same situation if I want to change my 3D reality, if I want things to change. This was a hard lesson learned for me when it came to like I talk about this all the time, but this was literally my deep lesson that I had to really figure out when it came to my job with anesthesia, right? This was not an easy process for me. I will tell you, like I was just telling Ashley before we got on this call, I would literally wake up every morning that I had to work and I would cry. I fucking hated it. But I realized after a while of doing that, I did this for years, okay? After a while of doing that, I was like, this is what's keeping me stuck because there's thoughts around this like, oh my God, I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. That is perpetuating and continuing to bring the situation to me because it's of equal level, okay? This is how law of attraction works, right? It's of equal level, so it's not going to change. It's the same. These thoughts are the thoughts that brought this to me in the first place. So if I want to change that, I have to figure out how do I look at the situation completely differently. And that was a big boulder to move at first, okay? It took me a while to figure this out. And I will tell you, like, whenever I did figure this out, I still would struggle with it some days. I'd be like, but I really figured this out though. Like, but that thought alone of I figured this out, but why is it still not changing? That
Mhm.
thought is still the program, right? Like this is how deep that rabbit hole goes. It's about literally waking up and going, fuck, I really actually love what I'm doing. I have a beautiful life, right? Getting to that place isn't easy. It's a process of rewiring. And there were all different thoughts that I had to start implementing every time I noticed I had a low level thought of, oh my God, I'm so busy. I have a business and I'm doing anesthesia. How do I slow down? Like, I had to start to actually implement things in my life that would stop the thought. Like I would notice the thought, I would stop it, And then I would say, what do I want to think instead? And so I had to have something in place, ready to go, to think about, to actually have a new thought ready to go and insert that in that moment. This is how you rewire your brain, and this is how you change your life. And you literally wake up and go, I don't even recognize my life anymore.
Mhm.
Like, if I could go back to myself 5 years ago and say, hey, listen, you're going to do anesthesia because you actually want to at this point. Like, I couldn't fully grasp that 5 years ago. I just wanted out so fucking bad. And
Yeah.
now I can be in the place where I'm like, actually, I really love the people I work with. I really enjoy, and I said this the other day, I enjoy meeting people in the hospital where they currently are. Because I would constantly say, yeah, but I don't feel like these people need surgery. I don't feel like it's the best thing for them. I would say things like that to myself, and that continued to perpetuate the problem. So I started saying things like, isn't it great that I get to meet people where they currently are in their current level of awareness and help them in their current level of awareness of how medicine actually works?
Mhm.
That changed it because now
Yeah.
I'm actually helping people again. Because
Mhm.
that's what I got into anesthesia for in the first place, right? I wanted to help people, I wanted to make a difference. But the way I was looking at it, the way I was thinking about it was actually keeping me stuck. And this is what we have to do if we're like, I want to be a Reiki practitioner, or I want to do telepathy, or I want to do telekinesis. This is the kind of rewiring we have to do for our brain too. We have to notice, where's the blockage, where's the barrier, what do I believe about myself and about those things in order to create that in my life too.
Yeah, and it's also about the intention as well. Like I was talking about this like burnout in high school. Like my intention in high school was to have this perfect life
Mm.
because that's what my parents expected of me was to have this perfect life. And so when that's your intention, like you're set up for failure
Yeah.
110%.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, but if you look at it from like a I want to do it all, like and I love doing it all and I want that, not like, oh, I'm striving for perfection. It changes a lot, right? And it's like for you, like you felt like you had to, right? So the intention was just I have to. And then
Hmm.
as soon as you shifted that, it all came down. But then too, it's like if my intention is doing this because of someone else, that's not ever gonna work. Like it has to be like for like your sole purpose. And that's a big thing too. And knowing that there are going to be things that you don't like, but then you can shift, but also not doing things for everyone else all the time is really important of what your actual intention is. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's where like to tie it back into like everyone can do this, everyone can be a Reiki master. It ties in the sense that we often look for mentors that are just gonna fill our cup of fluff,
Yeah.
because it makes us feel good, and that's not going to actually help move the needle in any way, shape, or form. It's just they're looking to fill that intention of I get to make money doing this and I get paid, but we can do it for ourselves and we can do it in a much more powerful way.
Hmm. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, when we learn that we're doing it for us, that's when things completely change. Like,
Mhm.
if I want, how do I say this? If I want to change my life, my reality, I have to do it for me, not for someone else, like you said. And
Mhm.
I have to do it because I love it.
Mhm.
Like you talked about how your parents wanted things a certain way for you. There's nothing wrong with a parent wanting the best for their child, right? But
Mhm.
when so much of that energy is forced on us, we start to, in a sense, now I'm not saying this is what you were doing, but this is what I can find myself doing when somebody pushes a lot of that energy on me. I want to, in a lot of ways, people please.
Mhm.
And that people pleasing keeps me stuck because now I'm actually looking outside of myself for verification that I'm doing something right. Right. I'm looking outside of myself instead of actually looking internally and going, is this actually what I want? I had to
Mhm.
figure this out too with network marketing. This is what finally made me go, I don't want to do network marketing anymore. I actually don't love this. It's really not that fun. But I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder with network marketing because I ended up building a big business and then walking away from that business because I really didn't like how I was building the business. I wanted to do it online. I wanted people to come to me instead of me constantly going to other people, right? Like that for me, I was like, this would be a really cool thing to create if I could have people coming to me.
Mhm.
Well, at my first network marketing company, my upline was so vehement, there's no way that's going to work. That isn't duplicatable. All these things made me look like this horrible person for wanting to try something different, something new. And I ended up having a chip on my shoulder when I left that company because then I wanted to prove that I
Mhm.
was right. And
Yeah.
it took me really realizing, oh, I'm trying to prove to somebody else that I was right, and they don't even give a shit anymore. Like they're not. Maybe they are. I don't know, but it doesn't matter because now I've created this story that isn't necessarily there, right? And so it got to the point where I was like, okay, I actually really don't want to do network marketing. It actually isn't what I thought I wanted. I was doing it. I was continuing it because I wanted to prove that you could do it online. Other people have already proved that you can do it online. I don't need to do it again. Like it took me a while to like kind of think through this and go, it's already been proven that it can be done online. I don't need to
Yeah.
prove anything to anybody. I
Yeah.
can actually look at my business and go, what do I actually want to start doing?
Mhm.
And this I think I will always come back to this, like what do I actually want to do, because this is a reason that I left my two business partners before, where the question came up of, is this actually what I want to do, is this how I want to keep going, continuing in this particular situation? And the answer kept coming up, no. And it was like, I don't think I want to do this, but I said that I would do this for, like I said, I would do this with them. And so I started to really look at that and go, okay, I said I would do this with them. I also signed a contract saying that I would do this with them for a certain amount of time. That contract is now up. Okay. So
Mhm.
I have actually lived through the experience that I said I would live through, because I'm a person that I feel like my word is really important. If I say I'm going to do something, then I'm going to do something, right? I don't want to be that fluffy person.
Mhm.
So I looked at that and said, I have given the requirement of what I said I would do. Once that was up, I was able to actually look at what I was doing and go, do I actually want to do this? And when the answer came up no again, I said, it's time for me to move on. And it's okay, because now I can stand in my power and say, what do I actually want to do? And now I'm doing fucking TikTok shop and having a blast, right? Like I get to do TikTok shop and get to act completely ridiculous on social media and have so much fun doing it. If I wake up tomorrow and go, I don't really want to do TikTok shop anymore, the beautiful thing is I get to recreate something completely different and something completely new, right? And I
Mhm.
think that that's so important as we're going through our journey, to always be checking in with ourselves and make sure, is this really what I want to create? Because the moment that it becomes the thing that we just have to do and it's no longer something that we get to create is when we start to have thoughts like, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Oh, I'm so busy. Right. And so it's, as you said, the intention around it. Am I doing this for myself? Am I doing this for other people? How am I doing these things?
Yeah, for sure.
So, but yeah, I'd say this is a really great place to end off. So if you're listening on your favorite podcast host, go ahead, give us a 5-star. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. And if you're listening on YouTube, go ahead, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Let us know once again in the comments what your thoughts are. But with that, we're going to call TMI, Advice You Didn't Want, a wrap for today. See everyone next time. Thanks so much for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue hanging out with us, and don't forget to subscribe.